Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on the International Diamond Center Studios. Fine jewelry, watches, and much more. It's family owned and operated with the largest selection of natural diamond jewelry. It's Tuesday. We'll have Buddy Martin here. We'll take your calls and comments and your texts and all that good stuff. Softball loses game 3 to LSU. They come home for the final series of the season against the Oklahoma Sooners. Too bad they're not playing that in the swamp. You'd have probably 30,000 people show up for that. Baseball has 3 series left. They need to win probably 6 to 7 of those games, I believe, against Alabama, South Carolina, and Texas. So a lot going on. And again, Gator Golf, men's golf won the SEC title on Sunday. JC and I talked about that yesterday. Let's go to the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by the host of the Buddy Martin Show, the man, the myth, the legend, Buddy Martin himself. Good morning, Buddy. How you doing?
Good morning, Shane. Not bad for being wake up and rest out of my bed this morning at 3 a.m. on my birthday and having to get up and
Your
go out.
birthday's today, buddy?
Yeah, do the trip around the sun.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. But I mean, getting waked up at 3 o'clock is bad enough, but having to get up and leave your building causes an alarm, another false alarm here in my condo. Not a happy camper, but I'm going to try to get past that and move on to something more pleasant. So, I'm good to talk to you again, Shane, and enjoyed you on the show last night. And by the way, one final draft note, if I may. I know you don't root for this guy, but I do. And Big Des Watson is going to be a Tampa Bay.
That's not true, buddy.
Buddy, you said many times you didn't want to see him on the field. You didn't like him. I remember.
Look, I think he's a liability, and I hope he makes it. And he may be. I'm hoping he's the practice squad guy. I wanted to bring up practice squad because now you can have 17 players on an NFL practice squad.
I didn't know that.
Back in my day, you could have 6.
Yeah.
They made about $2,000 to $3,000 a week.
Mm-hmm.
Now practice squad guys, you can have, I think, up to 10 or 11 of the 17 have to be first-year rookies. The other 6 or so can be a 10-year vet. It doesn't matter. Those guys make about $25,000 a week. But now a young practice squad guy is making about $13,000 a week, which is a pretty good way to make a living just practicing football. I hope Des makes it. I don't know if there's a spot for him. You only can dress so many guys on a Sunday afternoon, and you have to be able to do multiple things. You just can't waste a spot for him to be a nose guard or something like that. But we'll see. But I hope it works out. But I could see him possibly being a practice squad guy.
Well, here's the report. He's down to 437, just so you know, okay? His high school coach says he's down to 437 from 464. Some of the talks about him being a tush-push guy, where you come in and push the guy across. I hate that rule, by the way, the fact that they don't enforce it.
Yeah, but there's only a few teams that do that, and I haven't looked at Tampa Bay's schedule to see who teams that they play that may run that play.
They play Philly? Do they play Philly?
I don't know, but again, you can't just keep a guy on a team for that, because that may not even come up during the course of a game.
I like to pick because it doesn't cost him much money if he works out great, and you got a huge body there if you need him. So I'm rooting for him. Hope he will make it in Tampa Bay, be a good place for him. He got $200K and to drive 100 miles, that ain't bad.
He did?
Yeah, $200K. Yep, they paid him $200K.
I think he got $50,000, buddy.
No, that's what he's.
They're not gonna give up.
No, he got a bonus of $200K, and he got $50,000 as his salary. So that's the reports I'm reading anyway. So anyway,
I don't know the facts, but I've never heard of an undrafted guy getting $200,000 to sign. So I don't know if that's accurate. I thought he got $50,000 to sign, but
No,
regardless,
I mean,
look,
it depends on what you can't read. You can't believe half or 2/3 of what you read on it. But this one came from a reliable source, I think. And I don't know this because I hate to get into salaries. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
are you talking to me, Zach?
Zach, we
Oh, okay. Gator Mac on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says he got $20,000 bonus and 50,000 to sign.
well, then it was a typo
So
because it said 200,000. So that's what it said. So it must have been a typo,
yeah,
but next is zero in
must
there.
have been yeah. There's no way an
I
undrafted
thought it
guy's
sounded
getting
like
two
a
hundred
lot
thousand
too,
dollars.
but yeah, that's what it said on their post. And usually, anyway, here's the deal. Here's the news today. George Kittle. How important are tight ends now in football? You know, and now running backs are starting to get important again too. Apparently, the 49ers did the deal with George Kittle. There was some concern maybe this deal wasn't going to be done. A 4-year deal, 76 million extension,
Mm.
76 million. There's a $40 million guaranteed payment. So I'd say he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, he's a very good tight end, by the way.
He is very.
Very important part of the 49ers offense. We got a text on the Titan More text line. I'm not sure who. I think this is from Kevin. Says, what does Buddy think about us taking 2 of 3 from the Arkansas Razorbacks?
I was very impressed. I wrote about it and talked about it, and I thought the game they played, being down 5-0, coming back, that's more of that Gator Boys, Stay Hot Gator Boys team, which, by the way, I'm going to talk about more on my show because people say that these things don't carry over from team to team. I think here's an example where it is carrying over. The basketball team's national championship and the theme they gave everybody, Gator Boys Stay Hot, is something that will carry over. That's the first thing people said when Sully's team won that game. That was a tremendous comeback. And that was really, really fun to watch. And wouldn't it be something that Sully gets to Omaha, which you probably will now? It has a shot at least if it's pitching hold up. And that was a big thing, Shane. Day 3, he got some nice pitching there, came through with timely hits. And the guys are coming off the DL and starting to hit the ball. And Sully's team is going to have it's going to be fun to watch this team down the stretch.
Yeah, they put themselves in a position now to possibly, and they got to take care of business the next 9 games in conference play. And I think they got to win at least 6 of them. Is my guess. I guess maybe less, but I think they have 8 wins right now. I think if they get to 13 or 14 conference wins, they have a very good chance to make postseason play, which would be a phenomenal feat whenever the way the season started. So, South Carolina for 3 there, then at Texas, which was going to be very, very difficult. And then you come home and finish the season against Alabama. So anything can happen. Timely hitting, good pitching, breaks here and there, and you can win some baseball games for sure.
Yeah.
We got a couple of YouTubes brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Franklin says DJ started throwing a couple of days ago. Somebody sent me a clip of DJ with quarterback coach in Jacksonville. I nobody will ever convince me this is good. I do not understand it. Here's my thoughts on private coaching. So I've done it myself, buddy, and I love working with the young kids to work on their fundamentals, to teach them the proper way to do things at an early age so they don't get bad habits. But look, if you're a talented guy, buddy, you can coach quarterbacks and put your name on it. You know, Buddy Martin QB training, and you want to take credit for whether it's Jalen Hurts that comes to you for a couple of times or this quarterback or that quarterback. Look, the good Lord has blessed certain people who can do certain things very, very well. And I just don't understand why these guys go to these quarterback guys that really have never played instead of working with their coach that they're playing the actual games with.
Well,
Does
they
that make
actually
any
can't
sense?
do that in the off season. They can't do that.
Yes, in today's world, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. There are no
You
rules
can
really in
work
college
out with your
football.
team in the off season. That's news.
Yes,
I didn't know you
yes,
could do
they
that.
can. They can. DJ can get the receivers, and I mean, I could be wrong, but I think I'm pretty sure about this. I know he can go out there on his
They
own
can
and
do it
throw, but
themselves, but they can't have the coach super.
right, but buddy. Okay, so this is what I used to tell the kids that I coached that played high school football. I'm like, look, I'm going to show you what I was taught in the basic fundamentals, but whatever your coach tells you for your team, you
Yeah,
need to listen to him.
that's
He
true.
is your coach. So it makes no sense to me. And the bottom line is, if you are if you're playing in the National Football League, or you're playing at the University of Florida or the University of Georgia or Alabama, you already are a damn good player, right? I don't know what these other people can do for you. Nobody will ever change my mind on it, because I watch these silly drills they put them through that you never do on a football field. I just think it's a money grab. So anyway,
Well,
that's
you
my
would
two
know
cents
you're in
for
that.
who.
You would know that because you're in that business and you watch.
Well, buddy, I love training kids. I don't do it anymore, but I loved working with the young kids. And I've had multiple people come to me because their kid wanted to be a quarterback, especially during the Tebow era, right? You know,
Mhm.
I just retired and I was living in Gainesville, and every kid in America wanted to be Tim Tebow, right?
Mhm.
And so I'd have these big kids come out, and I'd work with them for about 2 days. And then I had to just tell their parents, like, look, nothing against your kid, but he can't play quarterback. He needs to go play another position. And I
Yeah.
tell this story. I had one kid, he wanted to be a quarterback, and he was a big kid. And he had decent feet for his size, but I'm like, you're never going to be able to play quarterback. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Well, he ended up going to the University of Oregon, and he was a world-class shot putter.
Hmm.
And he went to the Olympic trials, all that stuff. So long story short, not everybody could be Tim Tebow, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, Barone says, I think a lot of times these private coaches are just doing whatever the players like rather than actually constructive criticism of coaching yes money. Well, my whole thing is if you want to go to John Gruden, you know, he has his little QB thing for the draft, which is outstanding. But for you to just go to somebody who has a name because he's worked with these players, it's laughable to me. It is laughable, because those guys have never dropped back in a live game at high school, college, or pro. I just don't understand it. So anyway,
You can see
I
so
got off
much good
subject there.
stuff. You can get so much good stuff on now on YouTube. I saw a really good video of Tom Brady talking about the base of a quarterback, how you start out like a shortstop. It's your same base, you know, and how to get your balance and how to step, how to move, and how to move your shoulders. I thought that was really instructive. Now, I'm sure that's probably quarterbacking 101 to you, but I think there are a lot of, like you said, these beginning kids. There's good stuff on the video if you know what is good. And a good video person can give you 10, 12, 15 things off the video can help you as a quarterback. But you're not going to, if you're not 6'2" and 240, you're not going to be Tebow, number one, because remember, people forget he was a tailback, really not a quarterback. And a lot of people had doubts about his ability to throw the football. And it came back to haunt him unfortunately, in the National Football League. And I remember the other night, I was on a boat with the whole coaching staff in Longboat Key whenever he was drafted. And they were so amazingly proud. Of course, he, for a long time, was the only quarterback that never won a playoff game. And I went and got direct TV because I could see Tebow and watch him. And it was a wonderful story for a while. Then he went away and never came back. But he's a guy that most coaches wouldn't let play quarterback. He said, "No, no, son, you're a tight end or whatever you are," and I get it. But I didn't know that that was true about the. You're right about the fact that you just don't go out and hire anybody off the street to teach your son how to play quarterback.
Well, yeah, I mean, some of these guys, just because all these well-known names have gone to them, there's
Yep.
multiple of these guys around the country. I don't know what those guys are doing to make them any better, because drills don't do it. It's playing and learning and knowing where it's again, I talk about it all the time. It's accuracy, anticipation, decision making. They can't help you in any of those areas. All right. So enough of that. Buddy, when it comes to the Gators in the draft, the first pick, was Chim DK, I think in the fourth or fifth round.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did it surprise you that no Gators went before the fourth round?
No, that was what was projected. Everybody said that was going to happen. That was what everybody talked about. I mean, it was predicted by everybody. Nobody was going to be picked in the first 3 rounds. I didn't know DK would be the first one picked, but but what a find! It just goes to tell you what a good evaluator Billy was. To find that kid, he was special. So no, I didn't. I mean, all in all, you got to say that getting 7 players drafted, when you consider Tom Brady was a 6th round draft pick, and that the league is really made up of middle round picks, and the Hall of Famers are the middle round picks, not the 1st round draft choices, that you can build a squad there. I asked you the question last night if you thought Florida moved up a notch in their drafting, and because of the drafting, you said you didn't think so. But yeah, I think that's what you said. But the point is that
Well,
did not have
I don't know what I said.
Well, you were reluctant to say they helped themselves in terms of their draft. And I don't like basing team success off of the players that got drafted, because we've seen that before not amount to anything. So you can miss people, and there's a lot of misses in the draft, a lot of misses, and it's going to happen. But no, I think 7 picks off this team was really good for Gators.
Well, when it comes to the draft, looking at your college success from a team standpoint, I mean, I think Ohio State probably had the most players drafted, and they won the national title. It seems like Alabama and Georgia, when they win the title, they've had the most. Same with LSU a few years ago. So, I mean, to get to that elite stand of a point as a team and a program, you're going to have a bunch of dudes in the first, second, third round for sure, and obviously you're going to have a bunch of late rounders. So, as I said, Florida's getting that way because I do think the athletes they have on this team coming up this year is the best team Billy's had from a talent standpoint. No question about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I researched the 2010 team that I saw get drafted. I was with the staff that night, 3 1st-rounders. But that's coming off those national championship teams. They have that many players. They had 9 players picked, draft, and 3 1st-rounders. They'll never have probably 3 1st-rounders again. But that was when Tebow was picked by the Broncos in a trade last minute. So all the talk about the draft was Shedeur, obviously, Sanders, and we talked about that some last night. We'll see how that plays out. He obviously had a horrible interview, especially with the Giants. And the buzz started going, and the next thing you know, he was dropping like a lead balloon, which has happened before. We've seen that happen before in the draft. And I did say I was really felt bad for the kid, and I was kind of rooting for him. But now as I'm hearing things coming in, I'm wondering, he self-inflicted that with his attitude. He was entitled. We knew he was entitled because his father protected him, and I understand that. And that's okay. But he's got skills. You're not very high on him, you said last night. I was impressed with the kid played with no running backs, and he was playing street ball all the time because he had no protection. And I wish him well, but
we need to blame that on the coach.
Yeah, I know. I get you.
Their whole offense was designed. Their whole offense, buddy, was designed for him to look good and put up big numbers.
No doubt.
I think he's got some talent, but I think people mistake his athletic ability for his dad. It's not even close.
Yeah.
He took 1 million sacks. He's not that elusive. But just the things he did in the games, taking multiple 20, 30-yard sacks, running around. You can't do that. Hurt your football team. And apparently, as you said, he was terrible in interviews. Look, I said it yesterday on my program, and I think on your show. The National Football League is the greatest sports business there is, and you better win, or you're going to lose your job, right, as a general manager or whatever. Owners want to win. They want to hoist the Vince Lombardi trophy. They're going to do their research, and for these people to think that this has had something to do with Dion, there's a reason he went that late. We don't know what the actual reason is, but they're going to do whatever they can to win football games, no matter who you are, what you've done. And obviously, they didn't think he was worthy of being drafted before the fifth round, I guess.
Yeah, but what about
that's the
Quinn?
only way I can look at it.
What about Quinn Ewers? That's the mystery. He was a projected first round pick. He dropped to the seventh round. What happened to him all of a sudden?
Well, he didn't play great this past year. He got injured early in the year, missed a few games. I never thought he was back 100%. He could have some injuries that we're not aware of. I don't know. Somebody asked on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, my thoughts on him going to the Dolphins. I think it's a great fit. He may turn out to be a good pro. Look, here's the crazy thing about the quarterback position. Only 32 of them can play, right? There's only 32 starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be a starter. Majority of these kids are going to be backups unless they are elite.
Yeah.
So I think Quinn Ewers is a guy. I don't know his football IQ, his savvy. I think he's a pretty accurate thrower. I think he's a guy that probably would be a good backup for Tua down there.
Well, I said this to you last night, and again, I go by what I read. And that is that he was allegedly, again, I don't know if this is true because I have no way of checking this out. He could have gone back and got an NIL deal for $6 or $7 million and played another year. He chose not to come out. Well, if he lost $6 or $7 million, that was a bad decision because that's money you can't make up like that. So I'm just really surprised that he was. I don't know what. I never heard what happened to him, but you talking about, hey, when you get when you get dropped like that, something is wrong. And it was an unfortunate story for him because he lost a lot of money.
He did, but I think he comes from a very wealthy family, so I don't think they're worried about it. Plus, he made a lot of money going to Ohio State out of high school, and he made a lot of money at Texas. So I think he'll be okay.
Shane, can I tell you about the story nobody's talking about? Everybody, we're not talking about here, but people all of America are talking about is the Bill Belichick story and what happened to him in his interview. You hear about this? This is a big
I have
story.
not heard about that.
Well,
so
you
fill
need
us
to know
in,
about
buddy.
this. He's a little bit in a pickle in North Carolina already. And it was about his interview with 60 Minutes. He brought his girlfriend in the interview with him, okay? I'm not passing judgment on age difference. What is it, 50 years or whatever, 74 and 24? His girlfriend in the interview room. And she told him what he could say and what he couldn't say. Well, Belichick has never said things in his life. He was a terrible interview and didn't say anything, had her in the room. And they got these dignified people from 60 Minutes who were there asking a legitimate interview. And they asked him naturally, how did you meet? And she blurted out, we're not going to talk about that. That was horrible, humiliating, stupid. It made Belichick look like an imbecile. And it plays into that he's robbed the cradle, with a 24-year-old girlfriend. And then people in North Carolina are really unhappy about it. He's not starting off at a good place in Chapel Hill. And it has nothing to do how old his girlfriend is, or nobody means that's his private life is his private life. But he made it his public life. A guy who never tells you about what he's doing made this his public life. He's going to pay big time for this.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen that at all. Like I said, I've kind of been out of it recently. But Barone 71. Well, first of all, Dan on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, commented, says, "Do you think Crawshaw will get an 80-yard punt in that Denver air?" Possibly, but they're going to try to. But they're going to want him to hang it up there about 55 yards. You kick it that far, you're out kicking your coverage, and you can cause a lot of problems with the athletes in the NFL.
Well, it's not his style,
to see what they do with that.
He's a different style kicker too, but I've seen a lot of punters in Denver. That ball does hang beautifully up there once it plays to punt.
Yeah, it's the ball will fly there for sure. Some of these comments crack me up. All right, let's so buddy, were you surprised that Elijah Badger didn't get drafted?
I was. We had a show last night. We talked about what were the surprises and who got drafted and who didn't. That was my number one surprise. I thought Badger would definitely get drafted. I don't know what happened. I mean, DK was a better receiver, but Badger was pretty good. And to me, I don't know. Maybe they know something I don't know, but it seemed like Elijah Badger was worth a draft pick. Now, these free agents also they'll wind up pretty good in some good places. May get better deals not getting drafted. There's a bunch of them. But I was surprised he did not.
Yeah, I mean they're both very similar to me. I think Jim DK surprised a lot of people with his combine time, especially me.
Yeah.
But as Gator fans, I think we get attached to our players.
Yeah.
There's so many good receivers around the country. I think Elijah's in a good situation in Kansas City, but
Absolutely.
there's always.
Do you want to have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's so many receivers at all different levels of football around the country, and the NFL guys, you just never know what they're looking for. And us as Gator fans are like, well, we saw what Elijah Badger did every weekend. So there could be a guy from North Carolina A&T that makes the roster. You just never know what's going to go on there.
Yeah.
Text on the Titan real quick. When Urban Meyer wanted to introduce his high-quality tequila to the Gator Nation, he made sure to get it to the HBC and his team at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Dorn's Liquors. Go beyond with smooth Los Landeros tequila. A few more minutes with Buddy Martin here on the Titan MR text line, courtesy of Comfort Temp. This text says, could you imagine the head ball coach walking into a meeting with a 30-year-old girlfriend?
No.
Belichick needs to stop. I'm 56 and not sure I could pull that off.
I mean, that's really embarrassing. It was really embarrassing for everybody. Trust me, you haven't heard the last of this.
Yeah, it's probably not a good deal at all. Buddy, I know you're a big horse racing fan.
Well, I got
Kentucky Derby's this Saturday.
I got you some information.
Are there any Ocala horses in the?
I haven't done that research yet. I'm waiting for them to let me know down there, but I always are. They have a connection because a lot of them go in. They also train down there a lot. That not so many of the Ocala bred. Of course, Derby horses have been successful for Ocala, but to my knowledge, no. But there are probably a lot of them who train there. They have a connection. So, but your horse is getting some play. I watched a video of him today, and for those who don't know, Shane has got the 9, of course, 9 horse. And what's his name, Shane?
I've already forgot.
No, man, you can't pick a horse.
Well, all you got to do is just say, I want the 9 horse.
Okay. All right. So
what's his name?
His name is Burnham Square. Burnham Square.
Right.
And I went to look it up. Yeah, Derby's, I believe it's Saturday. It's always the first Saturday in May, so that would be it, right? Journalism is favored, by the way. Just drew a guard spot post. He's in the 8 and he's ready to go. So, and your horse is right there with him. And I figured that he went with 13, the 13 horse is publisher, right? So you get journalism and publisher, and then you get the 5 horses is American Promise. Those are my horses: American Promise, journalism, and publisher. There you go. You see my theme there? And by the way,
I like it.
Toby Keith, was big horse racing fan. He's got a horse in this race. Everybody's really happy for him, and he was much loved. His horse, 15 horse, Render Judgment, if you like Toby Keith.
I love Toby Keith. I'll root for his horse as well. Andy on Facebook Live back up now, folks. Brought to you by Melda Law. He says, Shane, when you get to the late 7th round, are players better off being undrafted free agents? Possibly, yeah, probably. Probably 6th and 7th round, because what happens is the money is all the same and pretty much the same, but you get to choose where you want to go. That's what happened to me. So basically, I had like 10 different teams. And then you look at the roster, you say, okay, is there someone on that team that I know, like a coach, or, or they have older people at my position that may be moving or retiring or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, sometimes later rounds, it's better to be an undrafted free agent because you can pick where you think possibly, well, again, they got to want you.
Yeah.
But if there's multiple teams there, you can say, okay, well, if I'm a receiver, do I have an opportunity to maybe be on special teams? Am I a better special teams player than these backup receivers or these backup DBs? So there's a lot that goes into that. I do agree with that. Now, if you're an undrafted free agent and only one team calls you, you don't have an option.
No, you don't. Montreal Johnson is going to a good place, but they are loaded.
I think it's a great spot for Montreal.
Of course.
Do you have the list of the running backs, buddy?
I do. Yeah, Saquon, of course.
Who are they? Read them off to me real quick. Eagle running back.
No, I don't have all the running back. I have the Saquon. It's Barkley, of course. Who's on the Eagles? They also signed Shun Derek Powell. There as a free agent. He's a long shot to make the roster, they said, but there's 4 or 5. Well, I had the list. I don't have it any longer. There's 5 running backs there, quite a few of them, and I wish him all the best because he's a good player. I don't know that he might not just he'll have to be a special teams player to get in, but whoever.
Well, that's fine. He can be the third running back because just because those 5 guys are on that roster does not mean those 5 guys are going to be on that team.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you got to remember. I tell the people this all the time. When you've been in the league 5 or 6 years, you're now making a different minimum salary than you were as a first, second, or third year guy. If they're going to save a couple $100,000 for the same type of player and a younger player with fresher legs, they're going to probably release the older guy and keep the younger guy. Like I said, I don't have that roster in front of me, but I think Montreal, he plays on special teams. He returned kicks last year, although you don't get many kick returns in the NFL in today's world. But I just think he's a perfect fit for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay, they drafted Will Shipley.
Last year, I think.
Last year, yeah. So they are selected Donovan Edwards in this year. Let's see what I've got. I'm trying to see what they say. Okay, I don't have the Eagles draft. Andrew Makova. I'm looking for running backs. I don't have the list. I had it from me last night, but you're right. Yeah, you could. I mean, if you're a good player and you're not a high priced player, you could get yourself a pretty hard deal by being a free agent. Back in the day when you could do this in Denver, Dan Reeves would bring in like 40 free agents every year to camp. I mean, it was like on combine almost. Yeah, he used to sign them up crazy. Sign them and cut them, and he'd found a few players that way. That was the Tom Landry way he used to.
Most NFL teams out of their 52 that they're going to draft, they know probably 40 of them that's already going to be on the roster. And they probably got that 12 spots where they're looking for some diamonds in the rough. Buddy, good stuff as always, my friend. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the Derby.
Shane,
we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, good luck to your guys, and go journalism.
That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Camp. Quick timeout. Come back. I got a bunch of questions and stuff I want to get to. You're watching and listening PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Florida Crackers, the brand for original Floridians. Great food and southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida, floridacracker.com. A couple things here on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. AU Gator says, I believe what happened to Kerwin with the Dolphins, they needed some arms to throw the receivers, and they cut him late. Wasn't able to get on another team. Can you address that? Yeah, I mean, that happens all the time. You usually bring 5 quarterbacks. They'll have some guys that are there just for camp. But now, like I said, they've increased that practice squad number, so you can put a lot of players on there. And then also Andy on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says the Eagles have A.J. Dillon as well, who used to be with the Packers. So I'm thinking off the top of my head here. Philadelphia Eagle running backs, obviously Saquon, Will Shipley, and A.J. Dillon. Shipley, I think, was a rookie last year. But don't forget that, some teams keep 4 running backs on their roster. Montreal's going to be cheap from a financial standpoint, but also he will probably, worst case scenario, be a practice squad guy. You definitely need a couple of running backs on your practice squad. Doesn't mean they take blows in practice or anything like that. It takes wear and tear. You got to have somebody run scout team. So we'll see. I just think it's a good fit for him. The way he runs the football, the way they run the zone. We'll see. Barone 71 says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Marcus Weston getting scooped up was interesting. I agree. Definitely can be a special teams kickoff coverage guy in the NFL now that kick returns back. He's going to need to. He is a good special teams player, no question. But usually, that guy's got to be able to be a backup at another position. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Florida victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators, joined today to help make Florida victorious. Greg asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, is Deuce Staley still there? I think Deuce Staley is coaching the Eagles now, if I'm not mistaken. Ted asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, will Dez make the practice squad for the Bucks? Time will tell. I think he's got a better chance of making the practice squad than he does the regular roster. And then Andy says the interview that Belichick has was not on 60 Minutes. It was on CBS Sunday morning show. I'll have to check that out. And then JB on YouTube, on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says, do we have enough beef on the D-line? Great question. D-line is a concern of mine. We did pick up a guy transfer from Baylor the other day. Hopefully that will help as well. Here's a text on the Titan No More text line from James. He says, Shane, in your time as a backup quarterback in the NFL, how much work did you get in practice? I've discussed this multiple times on here. The backup quarterbacks, if you're the number 2, you probably, let's say 7-on-7 has 20 reps, you may get 3. Team, you may get 5 reps. You have to be mentally prepared. Now, the times may have changed, but that's how it was back in my days. If you're the 3rd guy, you get 0 reps, you run scout team. So it's you just don't have enough time to practice and let those guys get reps, because the starters need to get as much as they can. Now, there's so many walkthroughs, and majority of NFL practices now are more mental stuff than actual physical. But it's going to be interesting to see how these guys do. We wish them a lot of luck. It's all about being at the right place at the right time most of the time. And we'll see what happens with them for sure. Tomorrow's program, we're going to have JC on for sure. He'll have his Peachland Dental hockey and golf and terrible NBA picks. Maybe we'll get JC to give us some horse picks for the Kentucky Derby as well. Maybe do that on Friday. But we'll also have Coach JC Deacon, the head golf coach of your SEC championship Florida Gator men's golf team, will join us tomorrow, talk about their great run at Sea Island and then moving forward to the Nationals. Last time they won the SEC, they won the national title. It's going to be hard, though. But what a wonderful week for them. I got to get to a meeting, folks, so we're cutting this short for a minute. Before we get out of here, the Pouncey twins provide all of Gator Nation with the highest quality liqueurs made by J.F. Hayden Craft Liqueurs. Find your favorite flavors at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, folks. Take care.